But first of all, let's talk about this Volvo EX30. Kind of just popped up out of nowhere. I wasn't really expecting it.
Yeah, Miles just posted it in in our like one of our Slack channels.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't think of it, and then I was like, wait a minute, does that say 35K?
Yeah. I was like, oh, word? Volvo? Cool. Because Volvo, for those of you who don't know, owns the Polestar brand. So whenever we see a new Polestar that's sort of part of Volvo Group, this is a common thing with car companies. So I didn't expect, because Volvos are typically pretty high end, I didn't expect a new electric Volvo to be inexpensive. But the headline reads, $35,000 Volvo EX30 is a high-tech, sophisticated EV for urban drivers. It's not out yet, but if you see the pictures and the sort of spec as it's revealed, for those who don't know, the EX30 is like a small crossover from Volvo.
Yeah.
It's not as big as the XC40 or the XC50 or the bigger versions that they have.
It's pretty small. I looked up what I think are the dimensions, and it's like just a bit smaller than like a Subaru Crosstrek, if you know what that is, which is pretty much just a hatchback Impreza lifted. So
we need a bunch of car brand equivalents, because all the Subaru people are nodding like, yes, of course, I get it. But I'm like,
the Crosstrek is probably like one of the most popular crossovers like in the US.
Really?
It is stupidly popular.
okay, I'll throw in Kia EV6, and I'll throw in Genesis GV60
I think
as
about
like
that.
similar sized things.
I can't confirm because I don't know the exact measurements of that, but I looked
Model
up the Crosstrek
Y.
measurements. I think it's smaller than
Model Y.
It's small. It is a small SUV.
But it's still higher off the ground, than a car. They're saying 275 miles of range on the single motor variant, about $35,000 starting price.
That's crazy.
0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. That's a dual motor. So they're going to also make a dual motor version of this that's a little more peppy and a little less range.
Barely, though. 265 miles versus 275. Like, that's not
close.
a bad trade-off. I couldn't figure out what the price on that was, because when you go to their site and click reserve, rather than picking one, it just shows 2 drop downs. And for whatever reason, it wasn't letting me choose one. I can only assume the dual motor is going to be a little more expensive.
Yeah.
What would we guess? Like 40? It might be there. I just missed it.
It's making me pick a dealership. And
I picked the dealership, and then I went to
Brooklyn.
that, and then it like...
Let's go Englewood.
Then I was just clicking on 2 different ones. And
So single motor extended range, I see $35,000 MSRP.
so I don't know exactly what the price of the all-wheel drive version is.
The weird thing is that there's 2 drop downs that just show
The details.
their specs, but you
drops it
can't
down.
pick the one you want, and it just continues to say $35,000.
Yeah. Which is, common. You typically get EV manufacturers touting their starting price, and then you option your way up to something else. But it's cool to see something starting at $30-something thousand.
And this says the rear-wheel drive version is 0 to 60 in 5.1.
Yeah.
cool.
So still great for still great for a $35,000 car. I won't say great for an electric car, but like it's going to be way peppier than any $35,000 car.
Yeah, it's good baseline.
Gas-powered. Yeah.
I also really like Volvos in general. Like I really like Polestars, and I mean Volvos obviously have like a very similar design aesthetic.
These look fantastic.
Yeah.
I've loved the Volvo SUVs that are coming out, and this looks just like that, just smaller, like the really cool kind of like sideways T headlights that like come into the front of the car. They have the completely flat grille with just the Volvo logo and like a diagonal pattern.
Yep.
It's a good looking car.
Do we know if it uses Android Auto or
If I was
CarPlay?
guessing, because I can't see in the spec, I would guess yes.
It looks like it has
Automotive.
Android Auto or Android Automotive
Yeah.
in the photos, but when I search Android, nothing comes up.
When we had the XC40 Recharge, which is another electric Volvo SUV, they were very happy to point out all the Android automotive stuff, and that seems to be the thing that they're going with Volvo stuff.
Yeah,
So
Polestar also uses
And
Android
Polestar.
Automotive, even though they're also adopting CarPlay, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
not bad.
Apparently, they're also releasing a cross-country version of this in 2024, which says it's geared towards outdoor adventures with more ground clearance, skid plates on the front and rear and the side, and back panels on the bumper. The small hood-mounted Swedish flag is the cherry on top.
Oh.
And it looks like it just has like...
Hood-mounted Swedish flag.
It's cool. It looks like it has way bigger wheels.
I think people who just curb their wheels all the time should get this one instead.
This is
Just drive it like normal.
So this is kind of interesting. Like Subaru is also
like the
doing this
Subaru,
now.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
making the wilderness version of the Outback and the Forester, which does all this, gives you worse gas mileage because like your bigger wheels, you have like a heavier skid plate.
I was
and
going to say, I
everything.
think I'd rather have this than a Subaru.
Did you take it out on
depends on like how far you're going, I guess, because it's
Yeah.
still 270 miles of range versus a full gas tank.
Well,
that
it's
you
the
can charge wherever.
Solterra range.
Oh, a Subaru EV, yeah,
Yeah.
1,000 times over.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like, but like I see
An
all these
actual
people
Subaru.
driving the wilderness on the road all the time, and like, trust me, I wanted it. Like every bone in my body was like, that looks sick.
Yeah.
I like to go outside once in a while, and that would look cool. But like, it's mostly commuting on 78, and then I'm just getting worse gas mileage out of it.
That's true.
So that's good to know. Good to see. I also have you guys seen the Prius reviews like blowing up?
Yeah.
We kind of predicted
I knew
this.
it would, dude.
Because like
I knew
I
it
made a
would.
review for those who don't know. We were talking about how sick the new Prius kind of looks, and we're like, is it sick? Like, is it actually a kind of a nice car now? And so we got it and we reviewed it, and it is confirmed a pretty fun car. And so I ended up making the video talking about how it's a hybrid, but it's a nice like stopgap in between. Because a lot of people, believe it or not, are just not ready for an EV yet. There's a lot of places where the infrastructure doesn't make sense yet. But if you have a short-ish commute, you can use the Prius Prime, which is a plug-in hybrid, as an EV and a backup gas tank. Just has a little backup gas tank. So it's a nice looking Prius.
Backup gas.
Just a little backup 400 miles of range on gas. But it has solar panels on the roof as an
Yeah.
option, which we're gaining in a
8
sunny
miles a day.
4 miles a day.
4 miles a day.
Adding 4 miles a day to your range, which is better
Something.
than trickling away your range. You know,
That's true.
you'll never have a dead battery if you leave it in the sun.
That's true.
What if you don't drive it for like 3 days? Does that mean you get 12 miles?
Yeah.
If it's a sunny day and you leave it in a place that gets sun all day?
What's the
yes.
maximum
this.
capacity?
About 40 to 45 miles of electric
That's
only
not
driving.
bad because I only live like 11 miles away from here. So
You could conceivably
Right,
use it
yeah.
as a fully electric car.
yeah.
11 miles of driving, like
Yeah.
actual driving, yeah. You could actually leave it
Although
out in
if
the
I only
sun.
get 4 miles a day, then it's like
But if you,
Well,
so let's
the
say you
weekends,
start with
over the
44, yeah, you don't drive it on the weekend. So you start with 44 miles of range, you drive to work, you end up, let's say, with 30. You drive back, you end up with 10. I'm being conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was in the sun all day, so maybe you actually end up with 15.
yeah.
And then you have to plug it in. So you will have to plug it in,
Oh, I
but
can't
you
plug it in.
you can use it as a full EV and never use the gas.
If I had anywhere to plug it in, I would do that, but I can't.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, go on a road trip one day, you just use it as a gas car.
Yeah.
I
So,
like what
yeah.
Toyota's doing with their Prime, because like the Prime line seems to be just their like better plug-in hybrids, because they have a RAV4 Prime that's similar. It's like about 40 miles of range on a battery that also has gas.
So I believe the Prime specifically means plug-in hybrid,
Yeah, I think
and then
so.
they have like regular hybrids that are not.
Yeah,
plug-in.
they have a ton. They have a hybrid of like every single car they make, and
Yeah.
then they have the plug-in hybrid of I think only the Prius and the RAV4.
Okay.
I wanted the RAV4 Prime very badly, but when I was buying my car, the only ones I could find were like $60K, and at that point, that's the price of a full EV.
Yeah, that's
And I
always the
feel like
X factor. Is like anytime you talk about the price of a car, you always have to go, but can you get it for that price?
Yeah.
Is there like a huge dealer markup right now?
It's probably not as bad now. I still think the RAV4 Prime is awesome. I wish they would just make an EV of it. Toyota, come on. You're doing great with these things, but like, come on, step it up. EV stuff more.
So here's the clips outro. Hey guys, thanks for watching this clip. We just wanted a quick outro before we peace out at the end of the video, and so that we remind you to subscribe and like the clip you just watched, because there's going to be more, and so you want to be subscribed. And then the algorithm push of the like button is great. But also we wanted to get to the tail slate, because we did do a slate at the beginning. So now let's do a tail slate so that Adam can sync the video with the audio. David, it's right there. Pass me the thing. I want to clap. I need to clap.
Goodness.
Oh, there we go. All right, this is for Adam.
Bingo.
There you go. You do your mic. Jesus. And you do your mic.
I got gunk in my shit.
Now we can peace out.